In this video, we're going to talk about how we multiply polynomials. So anytime we're trying to multiply polynomials, we want to be really careful. We're going to use something called the distributive property. And what that means is we are going to distribute every term in the first parentheses set to every term in the second parentheses set. And when we distribute, we're going to end up multiplying. And then don't forget to combine like terms. After you finish multiplying. So we're going to see some words like monomial, binomial, and trinomial. When we talk about monomial has one term. It's a polynomial with one term. Binomial is going to have two terms. A trinomial, can you think about how many terms a trinomial is going to have? That's right, it's going to have three terms. And then polynomial just means many terms. So these are special cases of polynomials. We're going to have to remember to use exponent rules with this as well. So let's look at the first example. We have a monomial times a monomial, 3x squared times 4x to the fifth. So we're going to multiply the numbers. 3 times 4 is 12. And then when we multiply x squared times x to the fifth, multiplying and having the same base means we're going to add those exponents together. So we're going to get 12x to the seventh. Take a minute, try the next one. The next one says minus 6x to the fourth times negative 3x squared. So we're going to multiply the numbers. Negative 6 times a negative 3 is an 18. And then we're going to multiply the x to the fourth times x squared. When we multiply and we have the same base, we add the exponents together. So that's going to be an x to the 6th. Our final answer is 18x to the 6th. So now let's look at monomials times binomials. So here's where we're going to start using that distributive property. We're going to multiply that 3x to the binomial 2x squared plus 5. So 3x times 2x squared is going to give us a 6x cubed. Multiply the numbers together, 3 times 2, then we multiply x times x squared, and when we do that, we add those exponents. And then we're going to do 3x times that positive 5. That's going to give me a positive 15 times x. So there's our multiplication for those. Okay, the next one we have minus 4x squared times 3x minus 7. So we're going to distribute. So we're going to do minus 4x squared times 3x. We're going to get minus 12, multiplying the numbers together. And then the x, we have x squared times x. Remember, that's understood to be x to the first. So when we add those exponents, we get x cubed. And then we're going to distribute the minus 4x squared times the minus 7. Negative 4 times a negative 7 is a positive 28. So we're going to write plus 28 there. And there's not an x on that 7. So you could actually think about that as an x to the 0. X squared times that x to the 0. When we add those exponents, we're just going to get an x squared. So that's kind of what's going on behind the scenes. So we get minus 12x cubed plus 28x squared. Okay, a monomial times a trinomial is going to work the same way. So this is where you may want to pause the video, try it, come back and check your answer. So we're going to distribute 2x to x squared minus 3x plus 4. So 2x times x squared is going to give us a 2x cubed. 2x times a minus 3x, it's going to give us a negative 6x squared. We do the 2 times the negative 3. X times x is going to give me an x squared. And then we're going to distribute to that last term. So we have 2x times a positive 4. Multiply the numbers. 2 times 4 is 8. And then we're going to have times x. So we have 2x cubed minus 6x squared plus 8x. That next one, we have minus 3x squared multiplied by 2x squared plus 5x minus 6. So we're going to distribute. So negative 3x squared times 2x squared. We multiply the numbers together. And then we're going to add those exponents on the x's. So it's minus 6x to the 4th. Minus 3x squared times a 5x. It's going to give us a minus 15x cubed. Minus 3x squared times a negative 6 is going to give us a positive 6x squared. So now we're going to make it a little bit more interesting. We're going to have a binomial times the binomial. And you have probably heard the word FOIL. So FOIL is just a shortcut way of thinking about the distributive property. It stands for multiplying the first terms together, multiplying the outside terms together, multiplying the inside terms together, and then the last. So let's look at a few examples. Let's say we have x plus 3 times x plus 5. Front, x times x is going to give us an x squared. Outsides, x times a 5 is going to give us a 5x. Inside, so I distributed that first to everything. Notice that. Insides, now I'm distributing the 3 to everything. So 3 times x is a 3x. And then last, 3 times that 5 is going to give me 15. Now, you always want to combine like terms. Notice I have 2x terms in the middle. So when I combine 5x plus 3x, I'm going to get 8x. So we have x squared plus 8x plus 15. This is where you may want to pause the video, try the next one, come back and check your answer. So with this one, we have 2x minus 3 times x plus 4. So we're going to do FOIL. So we're going to do front. 2x times x is a 2x squared. Outsides, 2x times a 4 is 8 times x. Insides, negative 3 times x is a negative 3x. And then last, negative 3 times 4 is a negative 12. Combine like terms. I have 2x terms in the middle. And that's going to come up to a 5x. So my final answer is 2x squared plus 5x minus 12. I think trinomials times binomials and trinomials times trinomials are a little bit more difficult. So here's what we have. X squared plus 3x minus 2. That's trinomial because it's got 3 terms. Times the binomial x plus 4. So we're going to distribute every term in here, that first one, to every term in the second parentheses. So I have x squared times x, which is x cubed. And then I have x squared times 4, which is a 4x squared. Now, I'm going to write this a little bit different. I like to line my terms up vertically, so I'm going to show you that. So I've distributed the x squared. Now we're going to distribute the 3x. So 3x times x is a 3x squared. And since that's an x squared term, I'm going to line it up. 3x, times 4 is a 12x. And I don't have any x terms, so I'm just going to put it right there. And then we need to distribute that negative 2. So negative 2 times x is a negative 2x. So see how I'm lining that up? And then negative 2 times 4 is a negative 8. And that's just a plain old number, and I don't have any other plain old numbers. What's nice is that now everything lines up, and I can see it real easy. So we have x cubed plus 7x squared plus 10x minus 8. And there is my product. This is where you may want to pause the video, try it, come back, check your answer. So the next one, I have 2x squared plus 3x. Sorry, 2x squared times 3x. So that's going to give me a 6x cubed. 2x squared times a minus 2 would be a minus 4x squared. And then we're going to do negative x times 3x, which is negative 3x squared. And then negative x times a negative 2, which is a positive 2x. And then we got to distribute the last term. 5 times 3x is a 15x. And then 5 times a negative 2 would be a negative 10. So we have 6x cubed minus 7x squared plus 17x minus 10. So there's our final answer. Okay, now you don't have to line it up this way. If you don't line it up this way, let me just show you what it would look like. You're going to get the same answer. So if I distribute that first 2x term to the 3x minus 2, I'm going to get 6x cubed minus 4x squared. When I distribute that negative x to everything in here, I would get minus 3x squared plus 2x. And then when I distribute that 5 to everything, I would get plus 15x minus 10. You're going to get the same answer. You just have to remember I'm going to combine like terms. And you can see how it's going to give me the same thing. I just like lining things up vertically, especially when you multiply things like trinomials times trinomials, which is what's coming up next. But either way, you'll get the same answer. Okay, now we have trinomials times trinomials. First one, we have x squared plus 2x minus 3 times x squared minus x plus 4. So we're still using the distributive property. X squared times x squared is going to be x to the 4th. X squared times a negative x would be a minus x cubed. X squared times 4 is going to be a positive 4x squared. So now I've distributed that x squared. Now I got to distribute the 2x. So 2x times x squared would be a positive 2x cubed. 2x times a negative x would be a minus 2x squared. And 2x times 4 will give us an 8x. So now I've distributed that 2x to everything. And then I got to distribute the negative 3. Negative 3 times x squared is a minus 3x squared. Negative 3 times a negative x is a positive 3x. Negative 3 times 4 is a negative 12. And then we're just going to add down the column. So I have x to the 4th plus x cubed, 4x minus 2x minus, 4x squared minus 2x squared minus 3x squared would give me a minus x squared plus 11x minus 12. So there's our product. And then you may want to pause the video and try the last one. The last one says 2x squared minus 3x plus 1 times x squared plus 4x minus 5. So I'm going to start by distributing the 2x squared to everything. That's going to give me a 2x to the 4th plus 8x cubed minus 10x squared. And we're going to distribute the minus 3x. So I'm going to get minus 3x cubed minus 12x squared plus 15x. And then we're going to distribute the 1. So we're going to get x squared plus 4x minus 5. That's going to give me a 2x to the 4th. I'm going to add everything up plus 5x cubed. So minus 10, minus 12, and this is understood to be a positive 1. Will give me a minus 21x squared plus 19x minus 5. So there's our product. So now we need to talk about a binomial square. So what does that mean? What does it mean to square something? So if I take 3 and I square it, what that means is I'm multiplying 3 by itself. Same thing's true with binomials. X plus 6 quantity squared is really x plus 6 times x plus 6. So we're going to write that out, and then we're going to FOIL. Fronts, outsides, insides, and then last. So that's going to give me x squared plus 12x plus 36. The next one, we have 3x minus 5 quantity squared. It means the same thing. It would be 3x minus 5 times 3x minus 5. So we're going to do front, which would give us a 9x squared. Outsides would be a negative 15x. Insides would be a negative 15x. And last would be a positive 25. So when I simplify, I get 9x squared minus 30x plus 25. Now later, we're going to go backwards. We're going to start with this, and we're going to ask how we factor it. This thing is called a perfect square trinomial because it ends up being something quantity squared. We'll talk more about that later. Let's look at one more. Let's say we have this picture of a rectangle, and the length is 6x minus 4, and the width is 4x minus 7. And they're asking us to find the area. And we're going to write that in terms of x. So I know area of a triangle is length times width. So it's going to be 6x minus 4 times 4x minus 7. I'm going to FOIL. So fronts would be 28x squared. Outsides would be negative 42x. Insides would be negative 16x. And last would be positive 28. And then we're going to combine like terms. So I'm going to get 28x squared minus 58x plus 28. There's the area of our rectangle.